All right then, let's check this video out from Cookie then, shall we? I'm angry with Arknights publisher. I thought this would be a useful video to watch. One, because I've been loving Arknights at the moment. But two, if you've looked on my channel, I've recently made a couple of videos talking about Black Beacon, right? And the issues that's been going on with Black Beacon and how it appears, if we believe the posts, that it was down to mismanagement and miscommunication between the publishers and the developers and having different publishers for different regions. And a lot of people didn't want to accept that that was a fair statement for the devs to talk about. And I thought it was. I'm not forgiving it, but I just think we've got to accept sometimes publishers can ruin reputations of video games and developers. And some companies make the mistake of getting into bed with some pretty crappy publishers. I haven't really seen much of the negative with Yostar because I haven't interacted too much, but there's a lot of people in the Arknights space who are like, yeah, Yostar are not that great. So let's check out this video. I'm curious to see what the deal is and why Cookie is angry with Yostar. I'm assuming it's Yostar anyway, right? Because that's their global publisher. So let's see. And let's rejoice in the fact that Hypergryph are going to be self-publishing Enfield as well. Well, hopefully, and they don't mess it up. So that could happen, right? That could happen. Let's hope not. Man, that's the end of the video, guys. Oh, we got to give him a preemptive like as well. We like Cookie. If you haven't checked him out, guys, go drop him a like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm sure you have. Let's get into it.
I am very pissed with Yostar. This video is not going to be bad-mouthing them with no basis. Damn. We as players...
Okay, all right. Angry Cookie, let's go.
...all together can see the crap that they are doing. And it's been really bad for just this year alone. This video is going to...
Sorry to pause it right away. Again, was last night the straw that broke the camel's back then? I didn't know until afterwards. Like, I saw people in Discord talking about it, saying the maintenance, they fucked the maintenance up or something. So, yeah, is this the thing that just, like, pushed him over the edge for this one then?
Cover 6 of the major screw-ups that happened within the time span of just 5 months.
Okay,
and I have been discussing them, but with all of them coming in at the same time, we have to talk about it. If you come from other gacha games, hi, this video is going to be some spicy tea for you. But trust me, Arknights is a very good game.
We do like some spicy tea.
Our publisher, on the other hand, is just very bad at their job. Now, for all my gacha gamers, you would know that banner dates are very important. You want to know what is the start date of a banner, what is the end date of a banner. Now, imagine that you have a collab event. So, in the case of Arknights, we had a collab event with the anime that is Dungeon Meshi. And this was a 2 weeks long banner. Now, within the game itself, there is an end date. But the end date is 1 day later than what it should be. So, the situation...
Wait, so it ended before the date stated it was going to end? Oh, okay. Okay. That is a pretty major fuck up, right? That is a pretty major fuck up if that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that right, yeah. That's not the other way around, that it was ending later than it was supposed to. That's... Okay, that's a pretty big L. That's pretty big.
What this ends up creating is for people who trust what they see within the game. And
you're gonna want,
people who's trying to hold on to their pools and they do it within the last day, maybe because they can still get some extra pools before the banner ends.
To be fair, with a game like Arknights, that makes sense. We talked about the Enfield system. It makes sense to do it in that as well, doesn't it? Because, you know, getting the pools together and then diving in there. So, yeah, dude, that's pretty freaking big, that is.
You would imagine how devastated they were to find out that apparently they couldn't do the banner anymore, only because it was a wrong date that was placed in game.
Did that not get changed as well? Did that date stay till the end of the banner? I didn't even notice that. So was that there until the end? They didn't change it? Because if that was the case, bro, that is pretty huge. Okay, all right.
Ask Yostar why
I'm on board now. I'm on board. Let's flame
Yostar's comments will just refer to the in-game announcement. That doesn't sound right. The big problem with this banner having an incorrect date is that there is a very big chance it will not rerun because it's a collaboration with an anime. It's not a character that you can get anytime in the future. So this is actually a...
Actually, yeah, that's a double fuck up, isn't it, really, with it being a collab banner, because it's not coming back. It's not like it's just a standard banner and it's going into the pool. Shit. I wonder how many people got fucked by that then. That's enough to make you really angry, right? That's enough to make you really angry.
A fucking huge problem. So this Dungeon Meshi banner happened in the middle of March, and now we come to the recent event, which is a limited event. It featured Alter, a very hyped character. And on the first day when the event launched, there was yet another big thing that should not happen within the game. That is, the store of the game got glitched out. So there were people who were trying to buy event packs because people normally...
I knew about this. I remember I was going to actually make a video on this, but it was fixed pretty quick, wasn't it? I believe. So, like, I think by the time I'd found out about it, I think people were saying things are working now. So I was like, maybe not. Maybe I won't bother making one then, because I wasn't sure if I was just, like, going to be, you know, well, I didn't think it was newsworthy. But yeah, I remember seeing a lot of people saying this that had spent money and they weren't getting the little pack. Some people were like, I'm going to try it. And they went out and bought like the 99 cents one. And that wasn't working as well.
You do that, right?
I think it got fixed quite quick though, right?
Start buying the things that we want. And for some reason, certain people cannot get their...
It's not the first time that's happened as well.
And then people start to try to rebuy the items. And then they get double, triple, quadruple charged for the item. And the item products don't even come into their game. Of course, this gets fixed after some time, where the item do end up in their account. But for the extra charges, they have to go and contact Yostar. Some people...
Yeah, see, it always the way with companies, isn't it? They'll be quick to take your money, but whenever it comes to getting it back, they'll make you jump through hoops. That's wild then. So it didn't even get reimbursed automatically. You had to go chasing support, and we know what support can be like for some of these companies sometimes.
People had hassle in terms of getting their money back, where certain refunds were maybe fast, while other people really had to helter-skelter to get their money back. It is especially the job of a publisher to make sure that things involving money doesn't go wrong.
Well, that's literally their job, isn't it, really? You know, that is their job, is to distribute the game, to distribute the services, to be the middleman for those transactions in the regions they are the publisher for. That's specifically why the contract was sorted out, so they could deal with that. This is why developers do it, because they typically don't have the resources for social networking, for regulations in certain regions, for the financial transactional side of things. And that's why we see companies go into publishers, because I see a lot of people sometimes getting like, why didn't they just self-publish? It's not that easy to run a business. You know, you have to employ people to do all that stuff, and sometimes it's just impossible, especially when the core personnel in your team are literally just dudes making video games, you know? This is why, like, there's a lot of developers can get shafted by poor publishers. Again, Black Beacon, perfect example. They look terrible now because their global publisher screwed the pooch. And a lot of people don't see it like that. They just see it as Black Beacon bad. Which I'm not defending Black Beacon, because it is pretty bad in a lot of ways, but still, you get the point.
And yet, it had to happen on one of our most biggest important events. I'm editing this video in the day, and I just remembered something. The prices of packs in this game are not consistent. I've only just recently discovered this. If you're someone who uses an Apple...
I noticed this. I was curious about this, actually, because I bought the Rhodes Island Kernel pack, which is $29.99 USD. Because everything's priced in the store USD, even in UK. When I bought it, it cost me £27 something. But I'm pretty sure the conversion rate to $29.99 should be around about £22, I believe. So I'm paying an extra £5 just because I'm paying from the UK. So like, what, £27.50 or whatever it was, is about $34 or something, I think. Yeah, maybe round about. So like, I was like, what's the deal with that? You know? USD is like 92 cents. Let's have a look. $29 in GBP. Yeah, so $29 at the minute is £21 and 85 pence. So why am I paying 27 quid? Can somebody enlighten me on that? I'm curious about that. It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Device, and you're also playing on your emulator, which is likely to run by Google Play, go and check the prices of the various packs in the game. You will realize that it's never the same. Sometimes the packs are cheaper within the App Store, while other times it's cheaper within the Google Play Store. And it's still running the same currency as your own country, which I didn't quite understand why that was the case, because... You gotta ask Yostar, but they'll give you a butt answer, probably. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's a $5 at the end of the day. But I was just like, wait a minute. Because in my head, I was like, 21 quid for a character and 2 temples, I believe it is. I was like, yo, that's cheap as hell. And 27 quid is still cheap as hell for that, considering, you know, if you want to try and get a good character in a gacha game, typically you can spend upwards of 100 quid. So I wasn't mad about it, but I was just like,
Did I just get shafted? Was that like a UK nerf right there? Did I just get nerfed for being in Great Britain? You know? That doesn't sound so great. Could it be tax? Possibly, but what's the rate of tax there, man? What am I fucking paying there? That's like 25. So are the prices listed in the store pre? I don't know. Usually, typically in the UK, everything has to be listed with you know, that's the price with tax added, because obviously VAT in the UK it's added on. It doesn't get added on after the fact like it does in like the US. Like, interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. Actually, I'm gonna have to look that up and see what the deal was.
Google Play and App Store do have the same extra increased charge of 30%. So I can understand that, you know, it's more expensive than the USD price that you see there. But why is it that the packs don't have the same price? That's actually not the big problem, because, you know, there might be actual rates.
No, wait, 5 extra quid for 22. Yeah, it's a lot in here. You're talking like 25% on top, which I don't know what VAT is in the minute in the UK, honestly.
I do not know about the two different stores, but
I think it might be about 20% actually.
Itself, there is a 26 USD pack and there is also a 30 USD pack. These two packs are obviously different prices. Why is it that when I click on both of them, I get the same exact price for each of them? So this made the 30 USD pack cheaper, which you can say, well, that's a win. But it also made the 26 USD pack more expensive.
Extra service fee, more like surprise donation, right?
And there is a chance
surprise
that
mechanics,
there's people
man.
who don't buy the 30 USD, they're buying the 26 USD. So if they're getting upcharged, is that not considered like scamming them? I don't see how...
It's not great. It's not great, really, is it, you know? Again, going back to the position with me, like, I was just surprised because I've never had that in any other game. Like, when I've spent, that's what it's cost. If something's 30 quid, it's 30. But typically, usually, I'm used to games having the denomination in pounds anyway. You know, rather than dollars. Not all games, but games that I've spent on have always been in pounds. So yeah, I'll have to look into it a little bit.
There can be a good explanation for this, just because it literally has
it could be that Laura, maybe. It could be.
It should not amount.
I'll have to try doing it not through Google Play next time and see what happens.
Must be wrong there. Then, new problem. We've got a brand new event that just released at around the time of this video, and it's a limited time new game mode as well as a brand new banner.
We're going to play that today.
The event did not load up when it was supposed to start. There is a start time to the event. There was nothing.
Okay, this was yesterday, yeah.
And then
what
I
happened?
think Yostar figured out that it was missing. And they
What's up,
tried
Leo?
to scramble
What's up, Dagger?
and I guess find the game files and try to inject it in. But that resulted in the server needing to be closed for 2 hours. And there is no official announcement within their social media. The only way that they announced it was through their official Discord, which is very strange.
I hate that when companies do that. I hate that when companies do that. Like obviously a company's Discord's a public Discord, right? But it's a very small part of the community, isn't it, that go to Discords? Like, you know? And the amount of times it can be so easy to miss notifications in Discord as well, especially if you've got servers, because if you're in a bunch of servers, you typically will mute stuff and that. You won't necessarily notice it. Even if you go into the server, you know, you might not necessarily notice the notification as well. And to be radio silent on the socials, yeah, all right, go to the Discord. That's trash.
In terms of management, where shouldn't you be alerting all of your player base that, hey, we need to do like an emergency maintenance because of this situation? Because a lot of players who are logging in at that time are definitely freaking out. They're thinking, is something wrong with my account? Why can't I log in at the moment? These people...
That's usually the thing you think, isn't it, with a live service game? Especially if you've spent money or even time. When you see an error, and the error sometimes can come up and it's like, you know, data not loaded or account information not found or something like that, depending on the message. You're like, whoa! Can be scary, man.
People are just trying to log in normally to play the game, and yet they can't. Next one makes me very sad as a person who really loves this game, which is voices and translation. This game has a lot of languages. We've got English voice lines, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, German, Russian, Italian.
Insane, actually.
Voices are very special towards us. We really love the fact that we can choose voice for every single character, and we can read their beautiful voice lines. On the day of our anniversary this year, we were supposed to get anniversary voice lines for every single character within the game. And we're supposed to get their voices as well as the messages that comes together with these characters. And there were two different issues. One, these voice lines were not translated. They were still left in Chinese. So every single character still have their voice lines in Chinese. Secondly, if you set the voices to say...
Okay, I'm starting to understand now why people are not big fans of Yostar. Because obviously I'm new, so like I've not experienced the wild ride, should we say. But yeah, I'm starting to get it now. I'm starting to get it, I think.
Say the English language, we don't get the English voice lines. We just get a silent character. So it's only available if you set it in JP and CN. But the English voice line is just empty, which is honestly just very sad. You can't read the voices, you can't even hear the voices. How is that an anniversary? Missing translations, mistranslations, all happening throughout the time span of this year. We had furniture items.
Not gonna lie, I come from Wuthering Waves, so that's kind of the norm, you know? Misspellings, mistranslations, downright incorrect weapon descriptions and stuff, so like, I'm kind of used to that one.
Still written in Chinese. We had in-game items that were having the wrong interpretation, so that screws up our own selves when we are trying to understand how it actually works. And then the story having flashback conversations, but the flashback not even having the same lines as the conversation that you heard of before. We also have special skins within the game.
That's just canon. That's just your bad memory. You're trying to remember a conversation. I'm sure she said that. She never said that.
Which these are the 24 original Prime skins. You can buy skins within this game purely with
Stream
the
Dead.
currency that you...
Shouldn't be. Nah, my net's not gone down. It's okay on my end. Must be YouTube. I think it's YouTube. Yeah, let me just double check. Stream health. Yeah, I think it was on YouTube's end that time. I think it was on YouTube's end. We're back now. Are we back now? Yo, what's up, Renegade, as well? You died for a bit, but came back like Jesus. He has risen. I'm back. I don't make me go get Han. Don't make me go get Han. Yostar Assassin's got me. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I think that was on YouTube's end this time. Oh, did it happen on Twitch as well? Did he? Was he? Maybe it was on my end then. I don't know. All right, then. Let's go. We're back at it.
You get in the game. You don't have to spend money as long as you get those currency well. And those skins are very special to us. So when you get those skins, you also get extra story about that character as well as voices. And again, the English voices for these characters were missing.
Damn.
Yostar claims that it's because of the strike. But according to some of the voice actors, which someone actually pinged one of the voice actors,
the actors call them out?
Not within this voice. All she said was she's not even invited to even voice it. Which there's a bit of a contradiction if you see to it. That is like, on one hand they can say it's because of strike that it didn't.
Not gonna lie, how things have been recently. I'm not saying the VA is in any way lying. I'm not calling anybody a liar, right? I'm just, I gotta be a bit careful nowadays with things that come out of some VA's mouths, because it's like, we've seen some of the shit that some VA's have said. It's like, alright, I don't know, you know? I don't know, but that is really sus, so that is really sus.
Happen. But if the actress is very eager, there's definitely ways to go around
maybe
it.
Talk, maybe there was just an excuse to not bother, you know?
Get into the game. Let me clarify by saying, I don't mean work around as in get past the strike. The strike exists, yes, there are VAs that are upset with how companies are treating them, but as far as I understand, Arknights is definitely not involved in that picture. So I'm also implying...
Just pause this. So from the Google Help Center, understanding service fees, developers subject to Google Play service fee based on a percentage of the purchase price of a digital purchase in their app. Maybe that's what it is then, because I don't usually really spend money for Google Play, because I don't spend on mobile games usually. Like, so that's even more reason to get a PC client then, so I'll probably save money then when the PC client drops.
That it feels like the strike is being used as a convenient excuse for them actually maybe forgetting to do important work, that is to get our voice lines in the game. I'm about to move on to the biggest problem, but there was some other stuff that I didn't quite elaborately describe. Like for instance, why our new Operation promotion material always so bad in the past few months? It only recently got fixed. But this promotion material issue did not exist in Japan. It is only the EN server where we get this really awful looking template design. Maybe they fired their designer or something and then they had someone else to do it. But it's really bad for marketing reasons. And during the Pototori event, which is the new limited event,
why would they need it to be different there? Surely they could just get like, if the public, well, this is again, left hand not knowing what the right hand's doing. The publishers could interact with the other publishers and say, can we get some mock-ups just without the language there and we can fill in the blanks? Like, You know?
We also
like
had
extra
very
legwork.
little views on the trailer of the event. Let me also just explain. We have very little views not because people aren't watching it. That trailer got re-uploaded 1 day later. So the old trailer got deleted and it had to be re-uploaded because Yostar Ian forgot to change the medals of the event. The medals of this event got into a copyright issue where the guy who drew it was referencing a renowned artist, so it's straight up plagiarism, and CN had to change it. But Ian took the old CN trailer and used it, and that's why they got into trouble for.
Man, dude, this is just, oh my days. This is like incompetence, right? Okay, alright, I'm converted. Yostar are pretty incompetent, right? They do seem pretty incompetent.
Representing it again, and they had to change the medals and re-upload the video. So with little views, what does that mean? Bad advertising again. You're supposed to be the company to promote to people to say, hey, come into Arknights and play the game, and yet they did that. One last thing. This new limited event was supposed to come with a big quality of life change, which is banner pool history. Don't ask me why we added it so late and into year 5 of AK, but we're supposed to get it. It would have helped us to be counting pity, know what we're...
Is that not in Arknights? I've just not bothered looking yet because I haven't really done much pulling. I didn't know that. Okay, that's kind of crazy that by year 5, that's something that was just being planned to be put into the game. That's kind of wild.
Put for, but it doesn't exist within our game right now. Why? I don't know. Freaking add it. Now the huge problem that I have, which is account migration. Recently, I've made a video teaching people how to recover their accounts. In the first place, why am I making a video like that? Why are people losing their accounts? For the past 5 years in the game, people can play the game by logging into Apple, Facebook, Yostar, so you can bind your account to a proper Yostar database, and Twitter, which Twitter got taken down. We understand why Twitter's a little bit of a feud, but basically we were left with 3 options, Facebook, Apple, and that. So, the thing...
To be fair though, if I ever have the option when it comes, and I'm not blaming the players here, I'm not. This is just from me because this happens. I've been around enough with games with them merging and services being changed and publishers being dropped and blah, blah, blah. I always just sign up with my email, and then if you need to bind anything, then you just bind the email rather than having something connected through your Twitter, your Facebook or whatever. But obviously it's a bit different for people who play on mobile. It can be just easier to just use the account via that way through the phone. Yeah, if content creators are kind of having to do your job for you, it's not great, is it?
The thing is, in the back end of last year, there is a new instruction in-game.
Did you make a video, Renegade? Yeah, have a look at that.
Bind their accounts to this brand new Yostar site. Even if you're bound to Yostar before, you still need to perform the action again. Do a new rebind into this new space. We weren't really told exactly why it had to happen. Maybe company policy, they can't really tell. So it could be things like, oh, they are migrating their databases into a new state of US or a new country for all we know. And maybe that's why they need to do it. You know, something like that has happened before in Microsoft, for instance. Another claimed reason by some people on the internet is saying that they're doing this new account center in order to merge their Yostar games together. So things like Azure Lane and Arknights. So they want a space for people to have all their accounts centralized.
In one place, yeah.
But there is also a lot of Arknights players who don't freaking play Azure Lane. So why do we need to perform this action? Is it that important for them?
I guess it makes it simpler for them, right? So all their services are kind of contained in one area. The only problem with stuff that happens though, doesn't it make data breaches potentially more risky as well? Maybe less risky because they've got a little bit more control. Maybe, I don't know.
Whatever it is though, let's just assume that it is a requirement that yes, they need to force every single player to move into this new space. One of the big key business objective of a company is to not lose your freaking customers. Meaning, don't have your customers drop out of your business because they are important to you. More players within the space means you generate more money. Maybe these people are spending more money in the game. That simply means that if you need all the players to perform this bind, you should take every action possible to ensure that every single person that plays this game are aware they need to perform this action so as to not run the risk that they lose their account. Let me explain what are some of the fatal mistakes. Number 1, they did have a pop-up window whenever you log into the game telling you to bind your account, which is good. But why do you give people the option to close that tab of binding the account? The problem with giving people the option to close is that it is assumed that you can ignore this particular window because you...
True. That should be something that should be up in your face. Do it. You know, like somebody showing photos of their kid. Look at my kid. You know, it should be constantly at you, shouldn't it? Because, like, I don't think I didn't go through the game. Somebody mentioned it in Discord and I was on the Twitter and they posted it on Twitter and I was like, oh yeah, let me do it from there. And that's when I did it from there, like.
You don't want to do it, right? You already bounded your account to Apple and Facebook. Why is it a must to bind it to Yostar? And some people might not take the time to read because again, you gave the option to close,
especially
so
in the
it
end.
Doesn't seem important. I also want to reiterate that the wording on this binding pop-up doesn't indicate that you must bind. Instead, it just says the reason of doing this is to play other Yostar titles, which I am...
That's a very good point, actually. That's a very good point. Not making sure people understand you need to do this because you're going to lose access rather than you need to do this because, oh, it's going to give you multiple access to multiple games, you know, from this one account. And then people are probably thinking, I don't care, I don't play any of the Yostar games. Or I'm all right, I'll just use my other accounts, it's fine. Rather than big red thing, do it now or you can't play the game.
Also saying once again, not all of us play every single Yostar game. Of course, we can put the blame onto the users for ignoring a window when it keeps annoyingly popping up every single day. But that is assuming that they are a regular player. There's a lot of people who are very casual in the game. They don't log in as often. Maybe they only tune in when there are important events. So they don't really see the importance of a window popping up when there's an X button or like you can just close it. So that is the first error, which is for people who actively play the game. Again, if binding is a requirement in order to make sure they stay as a player, you should not allow the option to close the tab at all. The pop-up is great, but it's not
just force
enough
the person to do it,
if you don't force it onto the...
Yeah, it's right. It's like if it's you have to do it, right? You have to do it. It should be you have to click this now or you can't play the game. Because people shouldn't be obviously forced to do that because they might not want it. They might be like, you know what, it's not worth it. You know, because some people are really anal about the data and being like, nah, I'm just gonna stop playing the game. But it should be like, look, you need to go do this now. You need to go do this to continue basically.
The player. Secondly, there are people who haven't been playing the game. They haven't been playing the game for 1 year, 2 years, and this whole new setup thing only appeared again within the back end of last year. So as I see a lot of the comments within my recovery video, there's a lot of people who's saying, hey, I'm returning to the game, I'm very hyped for the event. I can't get my account back because I don't even know what's going on. These people are not logging into the game, so they miss the in-game announcement, and it's not like they are obliged to follow their social media in order to see that this is going on. The next question I kind of have is for people who have already bound to Yostar, meaning they have an email address, why didn't Yostar choose to send a notification to these people into their email to let them know, hey, your Arknights account needs to be preserved?
Because that sounds too logical, that's why.
Please bind your account right now. There is no proper reminder in order to help these people to retain their account. And finally, there is a big confusion for people who have bound their account to Yostar before, because this is a migration of an account center, but it's still under the same name of Yostar. So people would have done it earlier and they didn't know they have to redo it again. So when the whole
what was the reason for that then?
To happen, people who have already bound to Yostar...
Obviously, I would imagine it's something on the back end that it was literally a different thing you're now binding to. That's why you probably had to do it. But, yeah, very badly handled, yeah. Very badly handled.
And then sees a level 1 account, meaning they just set up a new account and they're sitting there very confused. When they need to do the whole binding process, they realize that they created a brand new Yostar account with this email, but then the same email was used in their previous account. What the frick is going on? How do you actually bind this in a proper manner? There is a freaking huge painful process to this entire thing. And it's already great that people can still recover their account. There is ways to recover your account. You can watch the recovery video if you haven't done so. But if our accounts are still sitting there, allowing for us to use and play, for what truthful, important reason must we perform this migration? Because it's not deleting the old accounts. Every single old account are still available. If you want to recover, you can do so, meaning whatever.
I think it's stuff like this sometimes. It's either, one, it makes it a lot easier for the company to have everything centralized. Or two, they want everything centralized because it can be used then in regards to quarterly reports. You know, they can go to shareholders, whoever, the people who are basically funding the business and go, look at our numbers, you know, because everybody's on this one service now. They can go look at the numbers. I'm not saying that's exactly why, but sometimes companies make customers do this shit just so they can go forward and say, look, we've had a jump in our numbers, man. Insane, right? Insane. Look at all these new signups. Look at all these accounts now that we've got sitting here. But yeah, if there's any possibility, companies should always attempt to do this stuff on the back end, right? So you literally don't have to do anything, or it's very minimal. Either you just click OK on something and it automatically migrates you. That's the best way to have it done. It's obviously, I know from a technical standpoint, that's not always achievable. And this is coming from somebody who's a layman in that regard. I'm not an IT expert. I've never worked on these sort of services, so I wouldn't know. But, you know, other games have definitely made better options when they've done these migration services. Like, there's literally been games I played when it's like, you don't need to do anything. You know, just jump back into the game. You might need to re-log in because you've been logged out, but you might need to re-log in and you're all good to go again, like.
Whatever database they're using before still remains. Then now what? They're running two database, old database in order to save anybody who still has old accounts, new database for what now? I want to have good faith to say that the migration actually has a good reason behind it. But even if it does have a good reason, the procedure in order to carry it out was just so bad that you already ran the risk that a good thousand, I don't know how many thousands of players are trying.
I agree as well there. You know, I think a lot of the times when things go wrong, right, majority of the time, it's best to attribute it to either incompetence or mistakes or, you know, no malicious intent, basically. You know, I'm not always saying that's the case. Sometimes there's malicious intent. But typically, usually, when stuff affects you negatively, it's not because somebody went out their way to wrong you. It was usually probably just, you know, people slipping up. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it's probably the case, right? On the back end, it might have been. It was probably to make things easier. Maybe it's a good thing for the shareholders, all that sort of stuff, makes the company more efficient. But I suppose, you know, as long as that doesn't affect the customer, it doesn't matter. Problem is, it kind of did affect the customer, didn't it? So, yeah, it's a shame, really, shame.
Trying to log into the game and they can't find their account. You know what's even worse about that? The fucking...
Do not attribute to malice what could be more easily attributed to incompetence. Agree, yeah, agree. Yeah.
In customer service. I've had a lot of people who surfaced within my video that they contacted Yostar customer support about their lost account, and Yostar ran certain steps, and then afterwards, you know, they still ran into problems. They couldn't get their account to get set up. And Yostar just gives up and say, oh, I'm so sorry, we can't help you. And then these people then come into my video, try to loyally follow my steps, and actually finally recovered their account. Yostar are giving up on the people who lost their accounts. Can you believe that? It is their literal job to literally...
That's bad. That's bad. That is just literally... that is incompetence, you know? That's people in positions in the workplace who, like, you know, shouldn't even be there, or the protocols, the procedures are set up in the company are just woefully outdated. The fact that YouTubers, you know, dudes who just want to play the video game and have fun are having to step in and fill that role, that's a, you know, a shameful statement, isn't it, really, on how things are being run there?
Really do whatever that it takes in order to retain their customer. And one, of course, you screwed up the process of not forcefully making everybody bind or reminding people to do it well enough. And then now when you have a whole pool of people that are struggling, you're just saying, oh, you know what, it's fine. Bro, you're losing customers. Remember I said that I want to have good faith that, you know, the migration was important? Japan and Korean server did nothing, by the way. They're also ran by Yostar, but there was no migration method. It was just EN. Which, maybe it's something to do with, I don't know.
Again, though, I think this is down to mismanagement, miscommunication, you know? Again, not to keep going back to Black Beacon, but that was Black Beacon's problem. A game developed by a Chinese company that I think is a subsidiary of maybe a Korean company, but a Chinese company, right? Published in China by a Korean company, I believe, or that was owned by a Korean company, or it was a subsidiary of a Korean company, and then published in global, I believe, by a Singaporean company. And it's like, obviously you're going to get issues now. I know these companies, this has to happen sometimes, but this is where you have problems when miscommunication, people who are in the roles are not like very good at their job. Basically, they're not chasing things up. That is a terrible pause as well there. Cookie looks like he's about to switch and go ham. Dude looks like he's about to start kicking ass and asking questions later. But yeah, again, you typically, like we say about the statement about malice and incompetence, I think a lot of the time it's miscommunication, right? It's miscommunication, and because it happens, right? We're human. People make mistakes, but typically in a corporate setting, there's usually procedures and systems that negate that as much as possible, right? Where if somebody messes up, there's it's structured in a certain way where there's a stopgap. It follows on to somebody else where they can go, wait a minute, something's not right here. This has been bumped up to me. Something's not right. But it's obviously that structure's just not quite there. And it's not being run in a good way. And this is where it goes up to like your more middle management and upper management issues then, isn't it?
Their service is in US or something. Then you know how US is having problems now. So maybe they're moving somewhere else. I honestly don't know. But whatever the heck it is, we are literally the ones that are being very mistreated by the English side of Yostar. I have other things that I could be talking about, like their treatment towards content creators or their lackluster advertising. But I'm just going to stop right over here. If you yourself are Yostar watching this, let me just send you a very clear-cut message. I'm not here to just put you in a bad light. The reason I'm making this video is I love Arknights. I love it so much that I hate to see that the reason why we're feeling shit is because of bad management. You are the publisher, and while you are still the publisher, it is your job. The problems that were all stated are not things that we can just slip by as players.
These are problems as well that are like manufactured problems, right? We see this a lot in gaming, don't we? Where something becomes a major problem. It's like it didn't even need to be that. It wasn't like it was a developer error or a coding problem with the game. It's like this wasn't a problem. Then you created the problem, and then there's a fallout because you created a problem that was just never needed to be a problem.
These are things that are important to us. We want our game to feel good. We want our voices. We want the correct translations. We don't want fuck-ups where our accounts are being lost, our money is being hassled with. All that I ask of Yostar is just to do the bare minimum. Give us a smooth game.
Fair.
I can take that you don't advertise our game well. I can take that you don't give us special on-site or off-site events. Just give us a functional game. That's all that I need. That is going to be a message for this video. I think a lot of you might have things that you want to say down in the comments, so go writing. I'm pretty certain if Yostar's watching this, they'll be reading the comments as well. Let's see how this plays out. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.
Okay, yeah, great video.
Welcome back, everybody.
Great video from Cookie there. Really well put together, eloquently portrayed as well. Yeah, again, I was unaware of a lot of these issues. I knew about the account binding issue because obviously that happened recently, and I know that there was problems surrounding that. And I've heard a lot of people saying, yeah, Yostar keep fucking up. And I was like, do they? I've not really noticed any issues, but I can see now, right? And that wasn't even all of it. Now, I've heard some other stuff potentially about the treatment towards EN creators. Not going to get into that necessarily because that could just be hearsay and conjecture, and I just don't want to get into that anyway. It's not part of this video. But I think it's a positive thing that Hypergryph are going to self-publish now through Griffline, and I think it's probably going to be a better situation, right? Surely it is, because the book stops with them then. They know that, and the communication should hopefully be better. But we've still got to take into account, even if it is published in-house, I would imagine the global side of things will be in different places. So that potential miscommunication could still happen, right? And not to put it be a doom poster. Let's hope that Hypergryph are better at self-publishing globally, right? I know that apparently domestically they're a lot better, but we're talking international now, right? Hopefully they've spent the last couple of years in building those connections and generating the procedures for that, right? Because as I said before, resources are typically the thing that stops developers self-publishing, because you have to have a whole bunch of new staff in regards to doing all of this stuff, dealing with the international market, dealing with the regulation potentially, transactional issues, when usually the people making the game are just dudes who know how to make video games, right? They might not be the experts on all the other stuff. That's why you employ people to do that sort of stuff. And typically, smaller companies end up going to publishers. And that's why usually you see companies, when they do get in that position and they've made enough money, that they tend to self-publish, because they bring staff in and they do it all in-house, don't they? So hopefully, with Hypergryph self-publishing through Griffline, we're going to get a lot better situation going forward, right? That's all we can hope for. But yeah, again, as I said before, I think this just goes back to like some of the sentiment I had in the Black Beacon situation. Terrible situation, right? But it was a publishing situation. Some people don't want to believe that it wasn't, but I believe it. Maybe I'm naive. I believe it. And I just think the bad publishers can really ruin the reputation of a video game. Arknights is just lucky enough that it's a good enough video game. And I guess these problems haven't been to the point where it's destroyed the reputation of the game. So that's good to see. But I've got to say, that whole situation with the banner, wild. That's wild. Yeah, that's a big fuck up. Obviously, the account stuff's even worse for the people affected. But just in general, that's like a massive L. Like, how could they do that? And then not fix it as well? Insane. Actually insane. But yeah, great video from Cookie. I know you guys know Cookie. If you don't and you watch more content, go check him out. He makes some really good content, actually. Seems like a proper chill dude as well. And that was a really good video, actually. Really good video. This is what we need from content creators sometimes, to be willing to speak out about certain things. And it's good to see. So yeah, W video, man. It's good to see.